Welcome to Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. I'm Julia Elliott-Brown, the founder and CEO of Enter the Arena. I'm a serial entrepreneur and an expert in raising investment and business growth. Our mission at Enter the Arena is to empower female founders to fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business with investment expertise and business coaching. Here we share the stories of inspirational female founders who've raised investment to inspire you to do the same. You'll hear their honest accounts of what it was really like to secure funding, the highs, the lows, and the challenges they experienced on the journey. And along the way, we'll discuss top tips for how you can be successful too. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Nikki Philips, the founder of Niix, the fitness app for women approaching 40 and beyond. With Niix, busy women can access a range of easy-to-follow video-based classes and tutorials and really gain confidence by developing a fitness habit that lasts. Wouldn't we all love one of those? Now, as a mum of two in her 40s and over 12 years experience as a Pilates and fitness instructor, Nikki totally understands that women's bodies change after having children and as they get older, and believes that we need a really tailored approach to health and fitness. And as a mum of two in my 40s, I couldn't agree more. So Niix launched in 2018, and in such a short time, the app has already gained 1,800 paid subscribers and tens of thousands of online followers across the globe without any real marketing budget. So in 2020, Nikki raised just over £150,000 in investment via crowdfunding during the coronavirus pandemic to help rocket fuel the growth of the brand. So let's find out more about how Nikki did it, the lessons she learned, her top tips on how to successfully raise investment. So welcome, Nikki.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to see you. You look very well and fit and healthy, which is, I would expect nothing less.
Thanks.
So tell me, Nikki, how did you get into this whole fitness thing? Because you don't look like a woman in your 40s, you look like a woman in your 30s.
Oh, that's very kind of you. So I used to work in media. I had a 10-year career working in films and movies and football with sponsorship, brand content. And then as I was heading into my 30s, I actually met my husband and started having children. And it was quite soon after then that I really felt like I wanted a career change. I wasn't really sure how to do that. I'd always been very fit and healthy and done lots of exercise. And one of the things I definitely really found helped me through my pregnancies and actually a back injury in my sort of mid to late 20s was Pilates. So I've become a real advocate of Pilates and I loved it. Loved what it did for my body, my physique, and just made me feel really good. So after very quickly, sort of during pregnancy, I was doing a lot of Pilates. And then afterwards, I just thought, I'm just going to do a course. I'll see how it goes. You know, I've never taught in my life. It might not be the right thing for me. But I knew I was passionate about exercise and particularly Pilates. So I did the course and then it just sort of slowly grew from there where I realized that I loved it and I was really passionate about it. And I wanted other people really to be passionate about it as well. So yeah, that was really what sort of started.
So were you teaching in other people's studios, or you had your own studio at one point, didn't you? Is that right?
I do have a studio now, yes. So when I was training, I was working in other people's studios, and then we actually were based in London when I first qualified. So I would work in studios or go to people's houses or sort of clear a space in the house and teach from there. Do group. I did quite a lot of postnatal. Obviously, I was postnatal as well, so it worked quite well. With that being the fact that I was in the same place that a lot of other women were.
Yes, that really helps, doesn't it, when you've got that empathy. So you've been doing this kind of in person for quite a long time. So what made you think about setting up an app?
So yeah, I opened a studio about six years ago, and 7 years ago even. Time flies when you're having fun. And I just, when people were coming to my classes, they were, they were giving me great feedback and positive feedback. And a lot of the women were in their late 30s, either postnatal, going into their 40s, seeing changes in their bodies, had been trying other exercises, and then really feeling that Pilates and also the other exercises that I would be teaching them, a bit of HIIT, body weight, impact, they all were really positive about it and said, I could really see changes in them. And I just really wanted to expand that really and try to see where I could deliver something that you don't necessarily have to go to a studio for. Obviously, it's great to go to a studio as well, but we don't always have the time. And a lot of women, in that sort of age group, we have very little time. Life is really busy. We're all trying to do 101 things at once. And also, working out, you don't have to slog it out in the gym for hours to get that body you want, or the fitness you want, or those fitness goals. I think, one of the things with Pilates, and that's really important to me, is that technique is key. If you're doing something really well with good form, you're going to see those benefits. You could go and do something for an hour and not do anything correctly, and you're not really going to get those benefits. Do it for half an hour, 20 minutes, and you can really, get the most out of it. Yeah, so that was where it all sort of stemmed from, really.
Brilliant. So tell us more about the Niix app then. What does it do, and how is it different from the other fitness apps that are out there? Because it's a big old market, isn't it?
It is a big
online
market.
Fitness stuff, especially now everybody has been experiencing lockdown and stuck at home and looking for new ways to train, at home.
Yeah. Which has been great for us, actually, because obviously we were already there in the market, and it's just really proven that home workouts do really work, and people are actually quite loving it. They're realizing that they don't have to go 4 or 5 times a week to the gym. They can do workouts at home. They can mix it up a lot more. So yeah, I just felt that we wanted to offer something where there was Pilates, there was a mix, everything. I really wanted to be around 30 minutes or less, so that women don't feel sort of that, oh my God, I've got to go and work out for an hour and I can't find the motivation. I wanted it to be motivational as well. And knowing, okay, I might just do a 10-minute class today. I can achieve that. I can fit it into my day, and I'm going to feel good afterwards. So it was really just feeling that I wanted to deliver something that was going to keep me motivated, create that habit. And so Niix basically is, the sole focus is Pilates and technique, but we also have HIIT classes, we're doing weight classes, we're going to be adding to that with dance classes and some yoga, but it's all based around having really good technique and making sure that you're thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Sometimes we go to classes and, but why are we doing this exercise? Where is it going to benefit me? So that, I think also, as we get older, we want to know more about our bodies. We want to know how we can get the longevity of our, bodies and life. So I think we're more in tune with maybe wanting to understand more about how and why.
Yeah, interesting. So subscription-based model?
It is. So it's a subscription-based model. You have a 7-day free trial. So, if you're not enjoying it, that's fine. Hopefully you will enjoy it. And then there's hundreds of different classes. We do some sort of on-demand style classes. So they look like they're a live class, like you're literally in my studio with me. And then there's some pre-recorded ones, which are slightly more focused. So yeah, and then we're expanding on that in the future.
Fantastic. Sounds amazing. So when you thought, right, I'm going to put this into an app, did you need a lot of funding to get the business off the ground, or was it quite a low cost thing to get it going?
I think, you start thinking we can do this with hopefully not a lot of money, but it does grow. I was fortunate enough to be able to raise some money through friends and family. And then it was just really a slight unknown. I have not worked with. I used to work in digital, funnily enough. This was in, years ago when it was very basic. It was mainly short snippets of video. So I had a vague idea, but obviously it just moves so quickly now that it was tough. It was a real unknown, but I knew what I wanted to deliver. I think that was key, that I knew what I wanted to deliver, what it to look like. And then it was just really finding a way of creating that.
So at the beginning, there's the tech build, there's production of all the content, and I imagine a bit of, work around the marketing in terms of getting customer base. So you funded that first bit with friends and family. So what was that like, going out to people you knew and asking them for money? How did you feel about that?
It is difficult. I think, if they're really close, it's a little bit easier. So, I kept it small and very close knit. And, obviously it's a big leap of faith for them to be able to do that. So yeah, it is. I think you just have to put yourself out there and see, what the reaction is. If you don't do it, if you don't try, you're never going to know. So.
Because it's an interesting one. I think some people feel a bit worried about going to people they know. And also there's a question of, what's the process that you go through when you ask your friends and family? Because they're not professional investors, but they still need to understand more about the business and understand what your plans are. I mean, did you have to sort of sit down with a pitch deck with them, or how did it kind of work?
So I did, to be honest, to be fair, I didn't have many friends invest at the start. It was more family. So I think in that sense, it did, I think it is hard going to friends, definitely. I think you need to really make sure they're the right friend who understands what the process is and has a bit of understanding, because I think they need to be aware of the risks, and family are more supportive perhaps, and
they're trusting you, aren't they? They're putting their faith in you, they know you, and
Exactly.
Okay. And so with that friends and family man, kind of how far did that get you in terms of getting the app done and getting customers on board?
So it really sort of just got the app developed, and then a little tiny bit of marketing, and then everything else has been self-generated. It's been, partnerships, but, without any exchange of finances. It's been social media has been incredible at driving it forward, and it's been tough, but it's really exciting, and it's moving so quickly. Everything moves so quickly now through social and what you can do, and the whole industry's changed, particularly in the last 6-8 months as well. So I think people are consuming this sort of app and offering in a very different way than when I first launched. There were less apps around then, but I still feel that we are we have a very clear target audience, and I really want to be creating a brand where it supports women in that age range that I've discussed, and that they feel that they can come to the brand as not only for fitness and health, but just as support as well, and a community.
So you've got a long way actually on very little money, which proves that people really want what you've got. You're doing a great job. So that must have been very encouraging when you then thought about going out for investment. So, I mean, did you always think, I'm going to have to go and get investment, or was that something that happened as the business rolled out and you realised the potential?
Yeah, it's sort of, it does start coming into your mind, and it got to the point where it was, well, if we're going to take it to the next step, it's really what needs to happen. And, the successes we were having was sort of proving that it was something that people want, and there's a demand for it. And so I just started looking into ways in which we could raise some funds.
So crowdfunding. So why crowdfunding? What made you decide to go that route?
I think because I have quite a large community anyway, I thought it would be great. It's a good way of getting the product out there and getting some of your followers and users to be able to invest if they want to. Actually, as a woman who has never invested before in anything, it's quite a fun way to invest, actually, and it's you know, you don't have to put that hundreds of thousands in or thousands. You know, you can put low amount in.
I totally agree. I love it. It's like a game. You know, it's like get off Net-a-Porter, stop buying more designer shoes, and go and put money on crowdfunding. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun,
yeah. And it's amazing the products and the you know, companies that are out there. That it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating. And so yeah, we just started having conversations, and then felt that it was the right way to go for a first round as well. You know, we were raising a substantial amount, but not excessive either. So
it's interesting. I think about a third of seed stage startups are now raising through crowdfunding. It's just become so popular. And really, and as you say, you know, particularly for a brand that's got a good following, so you've already got a tribe, you're starting from a really good place.
Yeah.
Did you feel nervous at all about thinking, I'm gonna have to put all this stuff up in the public domain?
Yes, definitely. It feels quite exposing, and you feel like, you know, if you don't hit the target, if you don't reach it, then, you know, it feels like a real failure. Even though it's not, because it's, you know, it's a tough thing to do, but I think you do definitely feel quite exposed, but you've just got to push it to one side and just think about you know, what's going to happen at the end. I'm quite good at just focusing at the goal.
That's good. That's really good advice, actually, because it can be very easy to get caught up with the day-to-day stresses of fundraising, but if you can keep thinking about why you're doing it, what's going to happen at the end is very helpful.
But exactly. And you know, you're really putting yourself out there and asking people to support you, and you know, it's quite a scary thing to do, but if you really, you know, believe in what you're doing, and you know, the fact that we've already got successes happening, that it made me feel a lot more confident, I think.
But also, it's, I mean, I know, you know, it does feel like you're asking them to support you, what you're doing, but actually what you're doing is offering them an opportunity to come on board with your business and benefit from that in the long run. So it's quite useful sometimes to flip the switch on that. I think a lot of people think, oh God, I feel like I'm kind of begging for money. And it's like, no, it's that you're not asking for them to give you money just because they feel sorry for you. It's not like that. They're investing it for a reason, and the reason is they believe in what you're doing. So
exactly. And
so preparing for your fund, for that crowd fund, because there can be quite a lot involved. I mean, you obviously you've got to make decisions about what valuation you're going to go out on, and how much you're going to raise, and what target you're going to set. So did you find, I mean, those are sort of three critical kind of numbers that you have to figure out?
That they are, and I was fortunate that I have, you know, investors that were supportive of me and helped me with that. You know, people that had previous, you know, experience, so could really help me with that. Which I think it's tough if you don't have that support, but if you can get some support from an investor or just even, you know, a lot of people want to help people raise money and build companies. You know, if they're entrepreneurs, they want to help, they're supportive. So, you know, you really, if you search for it and look for it, you're pretty much probably going to find someone who will help you through those difficult, challenging parts.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. It's so important that you get good guidance when you're doing these things. From someone who's been through it before and has got the experience. But it's quite hard, isn't it? Especially knowing what target to set, because you know that if you don't reach the target, you won't get any of the money. So you have to kind of balance it.
I know.
You mentioned you've got investors. So does that mean that you had some lead investors before you went out to your tribe?
Yes. With crowdfunding, you can, you know, obviously go out initially to private investors. So I was able to do that and get some people on board beforehand, which was great. But, you know, I think it's very time consuming, crowdfunding, and you don't realize until you're sort of 3 months in the amount of work that you're doing. And I did get some help to work through it, because it was a lot of work. But if you're hitting that target and you're reaching your goal, then it's worth time.
You've kind of got to put the work in to get the results, haven't you? But so let's go back a little bit then, and not skip over the fact that you got those lead investors, because that's really important for people to realize that you need those, ideally having some lead investors on board before you go to and that's not always straightforward. You've got to do that first. So how did you find your lead investors?
So I was just fortunate enough to know people, but I think some companies may go to angel investors beforehand. They might go and approach other investors via a network. For me, luckily enough, I knew a few, which is handy. It is challenging, but I do know that other companies do go via smaller angel investors. They find those people and present to them, so that there's a bit of momentum before launching through a crowdfunding process.
All right, good. So very lucky for you that you had those lovely investors in your network. So let's talk about timing. Okay, so how you launched literally as we were going into lockdown, right?
Yes.
What the hell was that like?
So we were going to launch the previous year, just in November, but it was just so time consuming, and a lot of work needed, that we just didn't feel we were ready. And then Christmas was coming, so we just thought, let's wait till next year. And then before we knew it, it was sort of February, March, and we're in it. And I think it was difficult, definitely, because I think investors initially were just, this was nothing has ever like this happened before, and investors who probably would normally invest just felt unsure. And but at the same time, I think because it's a digital business, they could, I was fortunate enough for them to realize that maybe that's, they could see what was happening, that this is the way forward. So hopefully that played in our favor.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually kind of almost the disadvantage is that everybody was freaking out because it was going worse, but on the plus side, your business must have been doing really well, because it's the perfect business for lockdown.
Yes, it was. But, at the same time, I'm sure there's a lot of investors that perhaps would have invested that had just put investment on hold, and to see, and it was right at the start. So when it was, we're really unknown. I think now, obviously, COVID, we're just living with it and we're working around it. It's probably slightly different.
We're a bit more used to it now, but it was certainly the biggest. I mean, how did you handle that from a kind of emotional perspective, and then also, how did you handle that from a kind of communication perspective, going out and talking to your audience, trying to get them to invest at this time?
I think I just looked at it positively, really, and thought, well, we're in the right place, we're the right business in the right place, and we just got to keep remembering that. And then, as I say, there were so many gyms and other ways of finding ways to be able to get through the period when lockdown was happening. I just think it's making sure you stay positive and focused, and just thinking about the end goal again, and just making sure that you don't feel deflated by that, which is difficult, but you would get a few wins and you would get some more investment, and then it might plateau for a little bit, and then others would get you'd get some more investment, and then that gives you a good push. That's the one thing about crowdfunding that's great. You can see when people are investing, how much it's going up. So it is quite inspiring in a way to keep going and to keep thinking of ways to raise that money.
I mean, I think so. If you imagine, I think you had 180 investors. If you imagine 180 people standing in front of you and you think, oh my God, all those people believe in me. That is actually will keep you going a long
It really
way.
does. It puts a lot of pressure on you, but at the same time, it's really that's inspirational in itself. You know, it gives you a real, you know, belief in what you're doing.
So did you find that the people who came in and invested in you, were they mostly people who were already in your network? Were they your customers? Were they your people you knew? Or what was the kind of mix?
It was a complete plethora of different people. In fact, we had over 52% women investors by the time the fund closed. And that's apparently very unusual. Normally it's sort of 19%. I'm not sure on the top of my head, but you know, we were really fortunate that we really resonate with a lot of the women investors that were on Crowdcube and you know, in other networks, but mainly from Crowdcube, to be honest. So you know, that was really, that's a real, you know, confidence booster when the people that you're trying to inspire is investing in you as well. And yes, we had investment from users, so that's great as well, that they are loving it so much that they want to be involved. That's, you know, part of the excitement of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then the other thing with crowdfunding is you get a kind of very public question and answer type environments. People can ask you questions about the business. Did you get any particularly tough challenges any tough questions you had to answer, or was it straightforward?
Well, it's all done online, so generally, so you know, there were a couple, but generally you've got it already, and you've just got to stick with your, you know, with what you know and what you can, you know, the right answer, which is, you know, what you can give them. And I think that there's probably some people like to push, but we didn't really have that, to be honest. It was all, they were more interested about the product and, you know, where it's going to go.
Well, that's good. I think, you know, when you're a business that's at a reasonably early stage, which you are, you don't have loads of data, loads of stats that can be queried. It's just about buying into the vision and buying into the team. Really, at this point. And
based on the results that we've had already. So, you know, luckily I had that because we've been launched for a while. So that helped. Yeah.
You mentioned, you know, there was so much work to do to prepare. Did it feel a bit overwhelming at times?
It does, particularly when you're putting together the pack that goes on to Crowdcube. You know, you're putting yourself out there a little bit. Normally they like a video, and then just making sure that you're putting the right information in, you know, just making sure that it looks right and it sounds good and that, you know, it's enough information for people who are looking to invest. So it's time consuming.
It is, but you did a great job. You know, you can't.
Thank you.
There's only so much you can shortcut on that stuff. You know, you're effectively selling an opportunity to invest in your business, so you need to do it well.
Yeah.
You did. So how long did it take then from the sort of once you've gone live to actually hitting your target?
So normally it's you know what, these facts and figures might not be completely correct. You normally have about 28 days, I think, or a month. And we had a few investors. So we were getting near to the end and we hadn't hit our target, but we had a few investors that were just talking a little bit more. So we extended for a few more weeks. And then we hit target before the end of those 2 weeks. So, you know, there are a lot of companies where it's going really well. And I'm sure, you know, they have other investors because some people want to talk in more depth and so you have to spend that time doing that and presenting or, you know, just going through sending information. So we were lucky that we had a couple of investors that were keen to invest, but the time was running out. So we extended a little bit. It really helped.
But actually, I mean, I know that during that 6 weeks, it feels like you're in hell on earth and the longest 6 weeks ever. But when you look back, you think actually that's one of the lovely things about crowdfunding is it has got this finite time that you work towards. So it's not this never-ending process. You kind of, it's scary, it's hard work, but you go out there and you just get it done.
Yeah, I definitely feel that's one of the things that I really liked about crowdfunding, is that, you know, it's either or, and you've got that period of time and you can just focus on it. Otherwise, you know, it's difficult. How far do you go if trying to get a certain amount of investment? How many times do you approach people, you know? Whereas with this, it's just.
And how do you manage it all? I mean, because it's a question I always like to ask, because obviously you've got 2 kids. I don't know how old your kids are actually. Are they little, or are they?
They're both at school, so, you know, they're spending their days at school, but they do have a lot of activities, so they're time consuming still. Yeah.
So, but I imagine, of course, like all of us, just as you were going live, the little ones are all coming home and being in lockdown with you. So how did you cope with that? How did you manage running the business, running a crowdfunding campaign, homeschooling your children? How are you still here with a smile on your face?
In a way, it was fortunate because my studio obviously closed. So the time that I would have spent teaching as well as doing everything else, that freed up a little bit. But obviously homeschooling was quite complicated and quite stressful. It was really just, you know, you juggle, you just fit it in when you can, working around everything. And, you know, I might work into the evenings. Now that they're back at school, I really make sure that I allocate particular hours of my day to working. I think, you know, having a really structured day helps. So that's what I try to do. I just spend the day, and then, you know, knowing that that's my time to work. But yes, during lockdown, it was a little bit more hectic, and just finding time when you can.
But that's good advice, actually, of sort of compartmentalizing your day, because it's very hard if you're running your own business. It bleeds into the rest of your life if you're not careful, and then you're not giving anything your full focus. I've been in that
and
myself. It's dangerous.
It is dangerous. And I think because I'm digital and a lot of it is on social, you know, you can easily just, you know, and so I'm really conscious that I spend particular hours focusing and almost, you know, just task by task almost, you know, make sure that I'm just getting the list done almost. There's no more, you know, time for sort of, I'll do that in a bit because it might not get done. You have to really focus on it.
So if you could go back and do anything differently with this fundraising campaign, what would it be?
Don't really know. I think, you know, we hit targets, so we got to where we wanted to be. I think COVID definitely made it tougher. I think just being aware of how much work it's going to be is important. I think, you know, there's lots of ins and outs with it that you need to just make sure that you have time for. But, you know, really it's just knowing that it's not a quick fix. It is time consuming. And
it is, and it takes longer than people think, isn't it? I mean, the worst thing is when people say, oh, you know, when they come to me and say, well, I want to raise investment, and I say, when do you need the money by? And they say, yesterday. It's really difficult in that position. Whereas if you've given yourself enough runway, you know, I mean, I think 6 months is wise. If you
definitely.
Even better. I mean, it's normally 3 to 6 months to do a good fundraising. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I would definitely do it before you think you're ready almost. You know, have those conversations, and you know, the crowdfunding companies that are out there, they're full of knowledge and information. They, you know, they do. You know, they're supportive, and you know, they do help you through the process. So, you know, even if you feel miles out. Sorry.
So they want you to succeed because that's how they make.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. So, what's next for you? What are you going to spend all this lovely money on that's just landed in your bank account that probably won't last very long?
We definitely have a very clear vision. We have a budget. We have a strategy going forward. So that's great that we're very clear on where we're going. You know, it's really just building momentum, trying to get Niix as you know, out there as much as possible. We're going to be doing some technology updates and new content. So yeah, there's lots going on. And then, hopefully it will go well, and then see where that goes in a year or two.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't be successful. It's just a huge growing market, and you've got a real little niche there, which is nice. I mean, if you had to raise again, which you probably will do, I imagine, if you want to really scale, do you think you would go down the crowdfunding route again, or given your experience, it sounds fairly positive?
Yeah, I think, we would potentially look at that. I think a lot of the companies that were on Crowdcube at the same time as me, definitely, probably, it was the second raise. And I think it helps that the investors have already seen you there. And obviously, if you're going back for another raise, it's probably a positive thing in that sense. So yeah, never say never. I think it's a great way of doing it. And it's great to have, such a variety of investors.
Yeah, it is. They're all your biggest brand advocates now. That's the thing. And actually, it was so good to see you succeed, actually, because you're so right. What was fantastic, and I really noticed when we were in the depths of the lockdown, is that pretty much all the companies that were raising investment were those that were much more established startups and doing follow-on raises, so their second, third round on the crowdfunding platforms. And you were one of the few that did a first-time raise. So I think you should be incredibly proud of that. You did a really great job, Nikki.
Oh, thank you. That's really lovely to hear.
Really good. So well done. Congratulations. And so if people are interested in signing up for your app on the 7-day trial, where should they go? Is it website, app store? What's the...
So if they head towards the App Store or Google Play, they can download it depending on what phone they have. And then they will get a 7-day free trial, and hopefully they'll enjoy it.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure they will. We'll have a nation of fit over 40 women. That's what we need.
Exactly. And also, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, because we do lots of content there. And there's a community of women on Facebook, which is growing, which is brilliant. And it's so supportive. It's amazing. It's a really lovely, safe place to be, and to talk about all those things that we go through during our midlife.
Well, that's wonderful. I wish you all the best with taking Niix to the next level. Thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for following Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. This content is all provided to you for free, so if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss another one. Enter the Arena has helped hundreds of female founders fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business. Our first-hand experience, expert guidance, and proven programs help female founders unleash the Wonder Woman inside. To see if we can help you do the same, head over to www.enterthearena.co.uk. I'm Julia Elliott Brown, and I look forward to talking with you soon.